So if we turn our attention to the sideboard here on the second of this fine month of December, as you can see, I'm starting to wear my Christmas ties, okay? It's going to be Christmas ties from here on out. No other kind of ties will I be wearing except for Christmas ties because 'tis the season, okay? So, oh, don't you worry. Okay, so SWBA students will be able to write linear equations in point-slope form, okay? So last time we practiced writing or finding the slope of equations, and we even practiced writing a few equations in slope-intercept form, yes.
My mom didn't wait very long to put the Christmas tree out.
Like,
Me neither.
when?
She put it up on Saturday.
That's ours on
That's
2 weeks ago.
See, that's wrong, but that's permissible. Just
We put us on Saturday or Sunday.
Ours is on
Yeah,
I mean, you
Saturday.
guys know the Christmas song I was playing as you guys came in class today?
That was her Christmas song.
Oh, what? Welcome, Emmanuel.
That wasn't Okamo Manual.
It super was. I'll bet you any money.
No,
What?
wait, no.
That was hard.
We put ours on Thursday.
Are they in here?
Tree farm and cut it down.
Are the notes in here, Mr. Fossil?
Notes are on the counter there.
I didn't remember when we put up our.
So, I mean, I was listening to that, though. It's August 1st Red Christmas album. The whole thing is like a metal Christmas album. Awesome.
All I remember is.
And I was listening to that on Friday. And I was like, well, it's time now.
All I remember is way off a tree is listening to this song, All I Want for Christmas is Food.
All I want for Christmas by Tea Party.
Okay. So, 4.5 and 4.6 writing equations, okay? So writing equations in point slope form like our objective said, like our learning target said, okay? Point slope form. Write this down with me. It's y minus y1 is equal to m times the quantity of x minus x1. Okay. What? A lot of stuff going on there, okay?
What gravity?
Okay? We're going to talk about this, okay? So, y and x, the normal y and the normal x, those will stay as y and x, okay? You know how like we have our slope-intercept form? We have our slope-intercept form, and it's y equals mx plus b, correct? Okay? The y and x, this normal y and this normal x, those are the y and x. M still stays m, okay? x1 and y1, those are going to come from a coordinate. We're going to be given a coordinate, a point, okay? Hence, point slope form. So x1, y1 come from the point there. And what would be our slope here? What letter would be our slope? M. M's our slope, okay? So we're given a point and a slope, okay? So when you're using this form, you're given a point and a slope. When you're given the slope and the y-intercept, use slope-intercept. You just follow the name, okay? So you would use this form when you're given a point and a slope, okay? Because there's a place to put the point in, x1, y1, and the slope m, okay? Yes, Seth?
What is 10 to the 10th to the 100th power equal?
We're not going to talk about that now,
It's called
okay?
Googleplex.
So, note, the signs of the point will always be opposite of the signs in the equation, okay? The signs of the point will always be the opposite of the signs of the equation because, notice, we're always subtracting y1 and subtracting x1. So if it starts out positive, we're going to be subtracting it. If it starts out negative, we'll have two negatives in a row. And we'll see that here in a couple of, after these two examples. Okay, so first step that we're doing is we're going to take these two examples, we're going to identify the slope of the line and a point that lies on the line. So if we notice, y minus 2 is equal to 3 times the quantity of x minus 4. Does this kind of look like this form up here?
No.
It should. Y minus y1 is equal to m times the quantity of x minus x1. It mirrors it. The only difference is that only y and x stayed as variables.
Yeah, that's the reason why you said that.
Otherwise, the slope and the point changed. So can anybody tell me, as we're supposed to identify the slope and a point, can anybody tell me what the slope of this line would be? Ben? 3, because that's where the m goes, okay? Because 3 is where the m goes, okay? The m goes right outside the parentheses with the x's. Where's the 3 at? Right outside the parentheses with the x. Okay? Can anybody tell me what a point would be here? What a point would be here? x1, comma, y1. Can anybody tell me what the point would be here?
4.
Okay, 4, comma, 2. Very good. Okay? Notice here, Even though it says -4 there, well, if we're subtracting x1, so we're subtracting 4, so 4 is the actual point. Subtracting y1, subtracting 2, so 2 is the actual point there. So it's not -4 and -2, it's actual 4 and actual 2, or +4 and +2. So those would be our slope and the point of on this line. Okay, hence point slope form. Once again, this is the equation of a line, just like we've had before where we're graphing a straight line. This is also the equation of a line. It just looks a little bit different right now. Questions on identifying the point in that slope? Okay. On the second one here, on the second one here, y plus 3 equals, this is a 1/2. I know that gets copied on the paper wrong, so please write in that's 1/2.
What does
X
that
minus
say?
1, okay? It just kind of gets jumbled up. I'm not entirely sure why. That happens whenever we have 1/2 of these. So
Weird.
mine have that too. So make sure we write that down. This is 1/2, okay? And I want you guys to go ahead and identify what our slope and our point is. Okay? So I want you guys to go ahead and put our slope and our point.
Wait, it's adding.
We're going to talk about this one up here. Okay. What's our m? What's our slope here, Seth?
It is 1/2.
1/2, okay? Can anybody tell me what the point would be here? Okay, raise your hand, tell me what the point would be. Kenny.
-1.
I disagree.
I don't know.
Okay, okay. Somebody want to help him out? Okay, Kelly. Okay, 1/3. I'm going to still disagree, but can anybody tell me why I disagree? Okay, Seth.
Because that 3 is being added, but it's not supposed to be added to negative.
Yeah, the 3 is secretly a -3. Even though we see the plus sign there, okay, if we go back to our original equation, guys, then we see y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. If we plug this back in, we should be able to get the same thing. So we do y minus -3 is equal to 1/2 times x minus the 1. Well, what happens when we have these two negatives in a row? Make it positive. Okay, so we really end up getting y plus 3 is equal to 1/2 times x minus 1. Was that a sneeze or a cough? Okay, okay.
You sneeze.
I did sneeze. Okay, so any questions on why that ends up being a -3? Okay, I know it's kind of tricky, isn't it? That's why we said this little note here. The signs of the point will always be the opposite of what we see in the equation. So we see a +3 here, well it's -3. We see a -1, it's a +1, okay? Because in our equation we're subtracting. Okay, subtracting is the opposite there. Okay? Also wanted to note, okay, I saw some of us put the 3 as the x and the -1 and the 1 as the y. Okay? Keep in mind, even though we see that 3 first, 3 is hanging out with which variable? Y, so it's the y. -1 is hanging out with what variable? X, so it's the x. Okay, that's one way to kind of keep it straight. There is the y's are hanging out together and the x's are hanging out together. Okay, you don't have an x with a y and an x with a y. You have the y's and you have the x's. Question on those two examples. Dank, Dope, and Liddy. Okay, let's go on to the next part here. Okay, we're gonna write the point slope form of a line that has the given slope and pass through the point. So we're saying, hey, there's a line, it goes through the point -9, -4, and it has a slope 2/3. Let's write the point slope form of this line. Okay? Reminder, might be good to write this down. Reminder, point slope form is y minus y1 equals m times the quantity of x minus x1. So here, can you raise your hand? Can anybody raise their hand to tell me how I would plug this in? Okay? Go ahead, Seth.
So for the y, you could put y plus 4 equals
Okay.
2/3
Okay, very good. Now Seth did a good job here, and he might have done what was for some people might have been another step, which is perfectly fine. Okay, so if you had gone through and said, okay, y minus -4 is equal to 2/3 times x minus -9. Nothing wrong with that at all. It's very common to do. Okay, but then Seth said, okay, well double negative that'll be a positive, double negative that'll be a positive up there. Okay. Okay. Just a sneaky positive, right? Okay. Very good.
It's a positive
Okay,
and a
so
sign.
this right here would be our point slope form of the line. Now, if we're asked, and keep in mind we'll go further later. We always do with math, right? We start out easy, then we go a little bit harder, okay? But if you're asked just to write the point slope form, we did that, okay? And we would want to change those double negatives to positive because that's just messy. But when we have the plus sign there, it's a little less messy, okay? Questions on that? Can I have you guys try number 2? Can I have you guys try number 2? Okay? And when you have it or have questions, I want you to raise your hand. So what should you do when you're waiting on the check-in? Wait and raise your. What do we do every time we ask? Where we raise weights, we will check in. Or get a question, you raise your.
Connected to the option.
So wait. So this one would end up being y minus 5 is equal to 1/2 times x plus 8. Okay? As we take care of the double negative with the 8, it ends up being plus 8 there. Okay? Now this third one, guys, as we start plugging in, can somebody tell me what it would start as? Okay? Okay? Oh, okay, literally just start as. Okay, that's fine. Okay, Seth.
Y minus 2
Yeah.
equals 0. Quantity of x minus 1.
Okay, very good. Now here, we notice, okay, well this is technically the point slope form or something, but can we go like a step further, like really easily?
Maybe.
Because what's 0 times literally anything?
0. Undefined.
Y minus 2 is equal to 0.
Undefined.
Actually, it wouldn't be undefined though, it's 0. Okay, so we can take it a step further and just go there, okay? Now, remember that, Mr. Costa, why did we take it a step further? Well, is anything as simple as multiplying by 0?
No.
Even multiplying by 1 isn't quite as simple. Because 1 we still have to remember what the other number is. 0?
0.
Questions on that? Okay. Huh. Now, number 4, we have the slope, but we're not given a point, or are we?
Maybe.
What's it? What point would this be?
2. Y.
Comma,
3.
-3. F of 2 equals -3. Well, that means we're plugging in 2 and we got out -3. So the 2 is our x, the -3 is our y. So now do we have our point and our slope? So now can you do point slope?
Uh-huh.
Okay? Go ahead and finish off number 4 real quick. You don't have to raise your hand this time. That's how much things are after this. So we'd end up getting, oh, let me do my line right so you'll see something. Y plus 3 is equal to 5 times x minus 2. Is that what you guys got? Agree or disagree? Let's see what's right down after let's forget. Agree or disagree? Thumbs up for you agree, thumbs down for you disagree. Okay, some people didn't vote. You gotta try this again. Thumbs up if you agree, thumbs down if you disagree. Okay. Now I want you guys to go ahead and try 5 and 6.
I feel like you can like pepper the air. Just like pour a bunch of pepper on the vents. It's like
Make everyone sneeze.
yeah.
Let's
it's
go
not-
raise our let's raise our let's go.
That's why you
My
need a soundboard.
allergies would like trigger at that moment. I would probably be sneezing so many times.
Aiden used to do in first grade.
Okay.
He's like, I do it,
Okay,
I do
when
it,
you're
I do
done
it.
with 5 and 6, when you're done with 5 and 6, okay, I want you to raise your hand. Or if you have a question on 5 and 6, I want you to raise your hand on both 5 and 6.
Both.
I just remember a time I sneezed 10 times. I don't. That means you have to say that 10 times in a row.
I would too. Very good double check. I know about that check. Sorry, bro. Mr. Cross my sneeze.
He's getting out of the game.
Early, what a shame.
Got a
What a
house.
promising career you had. Okay. Very good double check that.
No, because I don't. I just like to spend my money out on money. He's not that chicken like rolling with nothing.
Ooh, it's neither. Okay, let's look at number 5, okay? Raise your hand if you want to tell me what number 5 is. Kenny.
5 plus 6 equals 0. I did it wrong? You said you checked it. You said it was good. I didn't say it was good.
I thought Ben, you said you checked it.
I didn't check it.
That's what you said.
Yeah, I didn't check it.
I don't know.
Okay, thanks for lying, okay?
Yeah.
Raise your hand if you actually want to answer number 5 correctly. Okay? Ben.
Y minus 5 equals. Wait. No, y minus 6 equals 1. Times or whatever. X minus 0.
Very good.
Oh, I got right at the top.
Ooh, okay. Raise your hand if you want to do number 6 for me. Okay, go ahead, Seth.
Y plus 4 equals -2 quantity of x plus 3.
Very good. 5 plus 4 is equal to negative 2 times quantity of x plus 3. Okay, question on that. Okay, so now we're going to go one step further with these, and we're going to learn to write in slope-intercept form, okay? So linear equations in point-slope form, what we were just talking about. Yes, Kelly?
Where's part B?
Uh-oh.
It goes straight from A.
Yeah, it goes there from A to C to D, yeah. Oops, I need to fix that. Okay, I was so confused with what's crossing my screen. Thank you for catching that.
You had a mistake.
I wasn't even just working through these again. I forgot it.
Wait, do we do part B on
Everybody has those days.
point A? Do we do part B on point A?
No.
B's on the other page.
So, this is the very bottom. What? No, D is on the other page. Well, yeah, there's like an A and a B, and then in this section there's an A and a B, a C, but there's no B.
It's an
Awkward.
AC and a
Okay.
T.
Linear equations in point slope form can also be rewritten in slope intercept form. Okay? So it can start out in point slope form, and then we can transform it into slope intercept form. We'll learn how, okay? It's just a couple steps, and we know how to do those steps, okay? It's math we know how to do. So if we notice, we're asked to write each equation in slope intercept form. What form is this in now? What do we just call it? Point slope, because what do we have? We have a point and we have a slope, so it's called point slope. We got really creative with this name, guys, okay? We called it, hey, we have a point and a slope, point slope! Okay?
That's just a one.
Now, to turn it into slope intercept form. Bless you, mustards, I'm not supposed to. Okay. So, remind me. You're bleeding?
Yeah.
I believe you're Mr. Crossman. You need a band-aid or is that good?
I don't know. It's probably just gonna bleed out. I'll die eventually.
That's good. Okay. Remind me, what is slope intercept form?
Y equals MX.
Very good. Y equals mx plus b. So what variable do we need to get by itself?
MX.
Y needs to be by itself. So we say, okay, well, how do we get y by itself? Well, we would need to do what with this -2?
Get rid of it.
Move it by adding. But is there something we should do over here first? What should we do over here first? Yeah, distribute it, right? Okay. Hey, keep in mind though, this is a 1/2. I know it doesn't show up in your paper, guys. This is a 1/2.
Weird.
Okay, it shows up something weird, so write that it is a 1/2. I did. Okay. So the left side is saying the same. We're not doing anything with that yet. So still y minus 2. Hey, what's 1/2 times x?
1/2.
1/2 x. And what's 1/2 times -6? What kind of 3? -3. You take half of -6. Okay? If you need to do that off to the side, that's more than fine, okay? If you need to do offside 1/2 times -6 or -6/1, cross reduce, and you get -3, perfectly fine with me, okay? So, now, what would we do to get y by itself? We said we add 2, very good. Now am I going to add 2 to the 1/2 x or the -3 on the side?
Oh.
You add it to the whole side, but we can combine it with the -3. We can't combine it with that 1/2 x. Well, -2 plus 2 zeroes out. Y is equal to 1/2 x minus what number?
5.
Try again. 1, different signs. -3, +2, we subtract. Is -3 degrees out, it gets 2 degrees warmer, it's now -1 degrees. Is this successfully solved for y and put in the slope intercept form? Yes.
Maybe. I don't know.
And we took 2 steps to get there. So after you plug it in to point slope form, we take 2 steps to get there. And if you guys remember, slope intercept form is so convenient for graphing. It's so convenient for graphing. Because you have your starting point, your y-intercept. And then you have your slope where you can go to any other point from there. So slope intercept form is so convenient for graphing, okay? Which is why we love it. So we really like to use point slope as a vehicle or a method to get us to slope intercept. Point slope is something we use to get us to slope intercept, okay? That's our reasoning for it, okay? I want you guys to go ahead and try number 2 on your own, okay? It starts off in point slope. I want you guys to turn it into slope intercept. Raise your hand when you're done or have questions. Very good, Norm check. Oh. Norm check? Yes. Very good, Norm check. Very good.
Keep on.
Reese, Norm check. Same. Oof.
I did nothing with my Thanksgiving break.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's not true. I went to Walmart and got new video games and a new controller.
Oh, so you know, I can actually play.
What do you mean?
Yeah. I got Skyrim for $17.
I got Call of Duty World War II. It was really good.
That's depressing.
Oh my god, mine was so good.
I play at my aunt. Oh, I'm done. Oh wait, no, I'm not.
Oh, that
Yeah.
game was so good.
Never
What a
mind.
shame.
I'm just disappointed. I'm like my
I
little
just
brother.
sneezed my bad.
No.
No, the Fire Shop.
Oh. Yes, I am.
That's how you're
Now it's right.
Let's talk about this one, guys.
21.
Y plus 60 with a -3x minus 4. What's our first step?
Distribute.
Distribute.
Yeah, that.
You just explained.
Y plus 6 stays the same. Negative 3 times x is
Yeah.
negative 3x. What's negative 3 times negative 4?
Plus, no, plus 12.
Plus 12, positive 12, okay? Now what do we do?
Minus 6.
Subtract the 6 from both sides, minus 6 from both sides. Y is equal to negative 3x plus what number?
6.
6, very good.
So many sixes.
So y is equal to negative 3x plus 6. Questions on that one? Flip the page!
I'm disappointed.
Okay.
I'm so confused. How did I end up
Wait,
adding
what does
9?
it
I'm
add?
so confused with Mr. Cross next week.
I ended up adding 9.
Okay, so we're going to practice writing an equation given the slope in one point. So we're going to do it in two ways right now. We're going to look at it using point slope form, and we're going to use one using slope intercept form. You can really use whichever method you like most of the time. I prefer one heavily over the other, okay, personally. So if we're using point slope form, and we're going to get our equation into slope intercept form, yes.
Does anyone notice that small tiny space on the board in between like the two like bees?
Oh, yeah.
No.
Like
The
the
underlines
lines,
are
the these
weird.
lines on the board, there's like a space in between, but on here there's
It's because
Oh, yeah,
but
it's
it's
weird.
underscores.
it's tight.
Yeah, it's weird.
But on here,
You could have made it bigger
Yeah.
underscores.
So, steps.
you can't.
Steps, steps, steps. We put the slope in for m. When we use point slope form, we put the slope in for m. We practice that. And we put the point in for x1 and y1. And then if we're turning it into slope intercept form, we're solving the equation for,
You know, to do that.
try again, what variable do we solve for when it's in slope intercept form?
Why?
Y.
We do not think.
Oh, look, this.
Here's an example. Voice off. Let's say our m is 2, and it goes through the point 3, 1. Write that down, please. And we're gonna practice it right below it, so don't write that super huge because you're not gonna have room. Okay.
Okay.
So now we follow our steps. We're using point slope form. If we need a reminder, right above here, point slope form is y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. You will have to remember that. Okay. Can somebody tell me how I would plug this one in? Okay, go ahead, Seth.
Y minus 1
Yep.
equals 2 to the quantity of x
Yep, 2 times the quantity of x minus 3, okay? So that'd be our point slope form. We just did steps 1 and 2. We put the slope in for m, we put the point in for x1 and y1. So now we have to do step 3. What is step 3?
solve for y.
Solve for y. Did we just practice that twice?
Yes.
Yes. So what's our first step for solving for y, Ryan?
You have to multiply the 2 by m.
Very good. We'll distribute that 2, which is multiplying it. Y minus 1 is equal to 2x minus 6. Okay. Now what's our second step and our last step to solve for y, Chris?
Huh?
What's our second and last step to solve for y here?
Add 1.
Add 1 to both sides. Very good. We end up getting y is equal to 2x minus what number, guys? 5. Very good. Okay. So we solved this one just like we did the others. So we started off the same as we did earlier, and we just did the last step, which we did before the previous two examples. Okay. We're just combining the two things we've learned today. Now we're going to practice using slope intercept form. We'll see, hey, it's pretty similar. Okay. We put the slope in for m. So we're using slope intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. We put the slope in for m. We're going to put the point in for the normal x and normal y here. We're going to put the point in for the normal x and normal y here. Okay? And what are we still going to do? Well, now, excuse me, we took care of m, we took care of x and y, we took care of m, we took care of x and y. What variable do we still have? B. So we're going to solve the equation for b. Then we're going to put the m and b back into our y equals mx plus b. We'll see what I mean here. Okay? We're going to work through the same example. So the m is 2, and our slope on our point is still going to be 3, 1. So it says with y equals mx plus b, we're going to replace y with what? 1, the y in our point. We're going to put the point in for x and y. 1 equals, what's our m? 2. What's our x? 3. Those are multiplying. Plus b, which we don't know. So we have 1 is equal to 2 times 3 plus b. Questions on how we got that so far?
No.
Okay. So now we're gonna solve for b, which says solve the equation for b. We did steps 1 and 2. We put things in, plug things in. Solve it for b. So we first have to multiply. What is 2 times 3? 6. 1 equals 6 plus b. How do we get b by itself?
Subtract 6 off.
Subtract 6. So what ends up being our b?
-5.
Negative 5 is equal to b. Okay, so now we know our b, we know our m. So can we use slope-intercept form?
Maybe.
We have the slope and we have our intercept. So can we use slope-intercept form? Yeah. So we plug this back in. Y is equal to 2x minus 5. Hey, have we seen this equation before?
Yeah.
Where? Right to the left, right? Okay, just to the left, correct? Instead of right to the left, right? Okay. Just to the left, correct? Okay, so we see the same one. So, in reality, did it really matter which method we chose?
No.
No, okay? So if you're given a point and a slope, you can use point slope form, which I personally prefer, because then you plug things in and you just solve. Or you can use slope intercept form. You plug things in, you solve for b, and then you plug that back in. Okay? Personally, I like using point slope form more, just because I feel like it's more straightforward. You plug in, you solve. Done. Slope intercept, you plug in, you solve, you plug in. I don't think it's actually harder, but I think it's less straightforward. Okay? You can use either way though.
Do I see favoritism? No.
I personally prefer one. I think it's just more straightforward. Okay? So on these next four examples, you could actually do these however you want. We have to pay careful attention to the instructions we're given. But on these next four examples here, we're told, write the equation of the line in slope-intercept form. We're told to finish in slope-intercept form. And it has to pass through the point, and it has to have the given slope. So here we're actually told we could do either method we want. Okay? Now once again, personally, I'm always going to tend to do the point slope form, just because I think it's more straightforward. Okay? So, anybody help with number 1 here? We're trying to write an equation of line in slope-intercept form, but we have to start somewhere else. Seth.
Y equal y minus 7
Okay.
equals 3
Mm-hmm.
times x plus
Very good. Y minus 7 is equal to 3 times the quantity of x plus 1. What form is this right now?
1.
Point slope form. We practice putting it into point slope a lot of times, and we have a point and a slope, so we're using point slope. Okay? So where do we want to go from here to get into slope intercept? Because we want to end in slope intercept. You have to get the y by itself. We have 2 steps to do that. Lucas, what's the first step? As you yawn. As you yawn, what's the first step to get y by itself? We have 2 of them. Distribute. Very good. Y minus 7 is equal to 3x plus 3. Okay? And what's the second of our 2 steps there, Whitney? Add the 7. Y is equal to 3x plus what number?
10.
And same sign, we added to the sign. So now we successfully wrote the equation in slope-intercept form, and it goes to the point, and it has the slope. So, common thing I see, guys, is we try and put this in slope-intercept form, and we say, oh, that's our slope, and then we call one of these our intercept, and it doesn't work. Okay? What I mean by that is common mistake I see here. This is what not to do. Is to try y equals 3x plus 7. Because they see, oh, that's the y, but is that our equation at all? No. Okay? So that's a common mistake I see because people see slope-intercept form. They don't realize, oh, we're given a point and the slope, so we need to use point slope. Okay? Questions on that? Okay. Let's try number 2 together as well, okay? So m equals 1/3, and the slope and the point is 9, 4. Can somebody help me set this one up? Okay? Can somebody new help me set this one up? Chris.
So I have a question.
Okay.
After the 1/3, why is there a comma
The comma is supposed to be like over here more, but there's a comma between the slope and the point, between the slope and the point, between the slope and the point. Just say, hey, this is new information we're given. Yeah, Whitney. Okay. Very good. Y plus 4 is equal to 1/3 times the quantity of x minus 9. Reminder, guys, okay, Whitney said, hey, minus a negative, that's going to be a positive right away. If you want to go ahead and put in y minus negative 4 is equal to 1/3 times x minus 9, and then change that to a positive, that's perfectly fine by me, okay? But if you're doing that step in your head, that's also perfectly fine by me. Whatever makes more sense for you is what I want you to do, okay? Sorry. Okay. Excuse me. Okay. So now we have 2 steps to solve for y to get it in slope-intercept form. Okay. Reese, what's one of the steps? Distribute would be our first step. So y plus 4 stays the same. What's 1/3 times x there? 1/3 x. Okay, and what's 1/3 times negative 9? Negative 3. And if we need to, we can do that off the side. 1/3 times negative 9 or negative 9 over 1. Well, hey, can we cross reduce? Can we cross reduce? Yeah. What goes into both of those? 3. 3 goes into 3 once. It goes into negative 9 3 times. We have negative 3. Okay, yes. Okay, so now our second step to try and get y by itself is what, Elliot?
You subtract 4 from both sides.
Very good. And we get y equals 1/3 x minus what number? Yep, minus 7. And that'd be our answer. Questions on that one? Okay. We're actually going to skip, we won't skip number 3, but we'll do it together, and I'll do it up here on the board actually. I want you guys to follow along with me, okay? So y minus 9 is equal to 2/3 x minus 5. Well, here we might notice that it might not work out as cleanly this time, right? If you distribute the 2/3, y minus 9 is equal to 2/3 x. That's same as normal. But 2/3 times negative 5, that's not that simple at all, is it? Because if we make this a 5 or 1, that doesn't reduce. So you have to multiply straight across. What is 2 times 5? 10. 3 times 1 is 3. So we have 2/3 x minus 10 over 3. So far, that's not working out very smoothly, but that's okay. We're going to keep it there, okay? So we still add 9. So y equals 2/3 x minus 10/3 plus 9. What are we going to have to do in order to add this with a fraction?
Make it improper.
Okay, make this improper. So it's 9 over 1, and what do we need to make that? Over what number? 3. We need to get common denominator. So how do we get this 1 to look like a 3? And we times the top by 3 then as well. And like Seth said, we'll have y equals 2/3 x. Make sure we're writing this down too. Minus 10/3 plus this new 27/3.
Wow.
And now that we have common denominators between these two constants, we can add straight across. Negative 10 plus 27 is 17. So y is equal to 2/3 x plus 17 over 3. Okay? And we cannot simplify that at all. And I am more than okay with us leaving that as an improper fraction. Okay? Making it a decimal, making it a mixed number would not be wrong, but I am more than fine with leaving it as an improper fraction. Questions on that one?
I'm with you now.
Questions on that one? Okay. And I want us to see something cool that happens to number 4 here, okay? Kind of like we saw earlier. Y minus 8 is equal to 0 as times the quantity of x plus 4. Agree or disagree with how I set that one up on 4? Take a second, look at it. Agree for thumbs up, or thumbs up for agree, thumbs down for disagree with how I set up number 4.
Well,
I see lots of green. Elliot, what are you going to go in A for?
you can just put 0.
Okay, well, that'll be our next step, right? Because we distribute, and hey, what's 0 times x? 0. What's 0 times 4?
0.
So y minus 8 equals 0. Okay, our slope 0, that makes life easier. Okay. What do we have to do with this negative 8 now? And what's
Add
0
an
plus 8? Add an 8. So y equals 8. So even though we don't have an mx, that's because our m was 0. And if we recall, a slope of 0 when it's y equals 8 ends up being a 4 over y. Yeah, I don't know. Okay. Questions on that? Okay, we've got a few more sections to finish in this, a few more subsections to finish here, okay? And then we'll be Gucci, okay?
We have an F in here.
Okay, yes. And in the chat. Okay. Write an equation given 2 points. So if we're just given 2 points here, we're told, hey, here are the points. Write an equation of a line that passes through. We can actually do that. Okay? Because so far, for slope intercept or for point slope, we needed the slope each time. But are we given the slope? Are we given the slope? No. Can we find the slope with 2 points? Yeah, we just did that on our worksheet. Okay? Worksheet we just checked at the beginning of class, we did that. Okay? How do we find the slope between 2 points? Okay? Seth.
You do M equals 1 minus negative 1 over 5 minus 8.
Okay, I think you misspoke, but it would be 1 minus negative 2 over
Never
5
mind.
minus 8. Yeah. Okay, so you do the difference in y's over the difference in x's. Subtraction of y's over subtraction of x's, right? Okay. Now, did it matter that we had to put 1 first on the top, or could we put negative 2 first on the top?
You put negative 2.
We could have put negative 2, but would we have to change at the bottom if we were to put negative 2 first?
8.
We'd have to put the 8 first, okay? And then 8 first, yes. Okay? We'd have to adjust that. Okay? So we're working on finding our slope. Okay? So what happens here with this double negative on the top? We add them, very good. And what is 1 plus 2? And what's 5 minus 8? And what is 3 divided by negative 3? Negative 1, so our slope is negative 1. Hey, now that we have our slope, do we have a point? We actually have 2, but do we need both at this point? No, we only need one of them now. Okay? Does it matter which point we choose? That's our question. Do we think it matters which point we choose? No, what he's saying no. I agree with her. It doesn't matter which point you choose. Okay? So if it doesn't matter which of these points we choose for our point slope form to put this in the equation of a line, which would we rather choose? 5, 1 or 8 comma negative 2? Really?
5, 1. 5, 1 actually.
Why would you choose 5, 1, Kenny?
Because it's easier to divide by 5s.
Okay.
Multiply by 5s.
Okay.
And 1s.
Yeah, and those are smaller numbers, right? Kelly, is that what you're going to say? Both positive, that's handy, okay? And they're smaller numbers. We like smaller numbers, okay? So if we're going to use this point, 5 comma 1, and we're going to use this slope, we'll have y minus 1 is equal to negative 1 times x minus 5, correct?
Yay.
Okay. So we have to go one extra step. What was our extra step so far? Finding the slope. Now we found the slope and we picked the point. Are we really at the same spot we just were?
Kind of. If you finish it out, it would be y equals
Okay. So we're at the same spot we were at before with our previous problems. Now we just have to finish it out. So we distribute. Y minus 1 is equal to what's negative 1 times x?
negative 1x.
Okay, negative 1 x is negative x. What's negative 1 times negative 5?
Positive 5.
Positive 5. Negative to negative. Okay. Now what's our next step to get y by itself in our final step of the problem, Seth?
Get rid of that one.
Get rid of that one by adding it. And Seth, y equals negative x plus 100? Very good.
Why are there so many 6s in this chapter?
Okay. So, we added in a new step, but is this really a new step or is it actually an old step? It's an old step. We learned how to do that last section. Okay? So we find the slope, then you just pick either of the points. And you say, well, if we can pick either, why not pick the smaller? Because we like smaller numbers. And let's play by bank counts. Questions on that?
I don't have to make
Okay. We're going to look at number 2, and then we're actually probably going to skip 3 and 4. Okay, are you guys okay with that?
I would skip 2.
Okay. So let's look at 2. X-intercept is equal to 6, and y-intercept is equal to 4. Wait a second. Do we have 2 points?
No.
These don't look like points, but are they secretly points?
Yes, but they're not 2.
x-intercept is 6. What's the y value if it's crossing the x-axis? 0. Very good, Ryan. So this point would be 6 comma what? 0. And what would the y-intercept point secretly be? 0 comma 4. If this is crossing the y-axis, okay, then x has to be 0. Okay, if it's crossing the x-axis, y has to be 0. So if we're given the x-intercept and the y-intercept, we secretly already have 2 points. Okay? So now, what do we have to do from here in order to write an equation of the line that passes through the points? What do we have to know? We have to know the slope. Okay? Can somebody other than Seth help me set up the slope? Somebody other than Seth help me set up the slope to find it. Okay, we just did it last problem, and we did it last section. Okay, I'll call on somebody, okay? Ben!
M equals 6 minus 0
Not quite, that's the x's, so this will on the
bottom.
But if you do 6 minus 0 on the bottom, what's the top?
0 minus 4.
Very good, thank you. Okay, so the difference in the x, y's over the difference over the x's. Remember, it's rise and run. Y's deal with rise, x deal with run. Okay. Now, did Ben have to do 0 minus 4 on the top?
Maybe.
No, he could have done 4 minus 0. But the bottom was switched. What's 0 minus 4? What's 6 minus 0? 6. Can this simplify?
Yeah.
To what?
-2.
Negative 2/3. Negative 2/3. Okay. So now, okay, can we plug a point in, the slope in, and solve for y? I think we can.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter which of the 2 points we choose. No. Okay. Do you guys have a preference?
Yes, I would do the 0, the x 0.
Okay. The 6 comma 0.
No, the x is a 0.
Oh, it's a 0 comma 4. Okay. Why?
Because you have a fraction, and so when you do the problem, you want it to, and you don't like fractions like this, so you just want it in at a 0.
Oh, that's a good point. So Seth's making a good point there. He's saying, hey, if we're going to plug this in, and eventually y minus y1 is going to equal negative 2/3 times x minus whatever x1 is. So we're saying if we're going to have to distribute it in a fraction, it'd be easier to distribute it into a 0 than it would be a number. Okay, that's true. 6 wouldn't work out terribly, but that's a good point. Okay. Also, it has a 4 which is smaller than 6. Okay. But I like that he's thinking ahead with that. That's awesome.
I
Okay.
just don't like fractions.
So y minus 4 is equal to negative 2/3 times x minus 0. Okay. And once again, we could have chosen 6 comma 0. Okay. But Seth said, hey, after he analyzed it, he preferred this one, which is fine. So now we distribute. Y minus 4 is equal to what?
Negative 2/3 x is 0.
Negative 2/3 x. And do we have to write that 0 over there?
Maybe.
No. Okay. So now what I have to do to solve for y? Plus 4. Does a negative 2/3 x combine with this 4?
No, but the 0 does.
But the 0 does. So y is equal to negative 2/3 x plus 4. Okay. Once again, could we have gotten there using either of the 2 points?
Yes.
Yeah. There's not a wrong one to choose. Okay. Questions on that? Okay, let's go to the next page. And what did I tell you we're going to do with 3 and 4?
Skip on.
Okay, we're going to skip. Okay. We're going to go on to letter F here, subsection F. Okay, and this is our last subsection of the day. I know we've had a lot. Okay. Whew. Okay. Write an equation of given a graph. Okay. I don't think we'll think this is that bad, honestly.
I don't like
Okay. So we're given this graph. We're saying, hey, write the equation of the line. So how do you go from the graph to the line? We're practicing writing a lot of equations. But how do we go from a graph to the line? Well, we have some steps. First step, identify the slope of the line. Let's try that. Can anybody tell me what the slope of this line would be?
Positive.
Okay, it's positive. We know it's going uphill. Okay, how do we find slope on a graph? We just practiced this in our worksheet earlier today. Rise over run. What's it rising from the left to the right or from this point to this point? Okay, positive 3. So m is equaling to 3 over something. What's it running? 4. So the m is 3 over 4. Did we find the slope?
Yes.
Check, we did one step. Okay? And think about it this way. For all of our equations, we've needed the slope every time, haven't we? Okay? So we're going to need the slope here too. Please stop. Okay? Second, identify the y-intercept or the b of the line. It is 2. That's where it's crossing right here, okay? So b equals 2. Well, now, do we have enough information to write an equation in slope-intercept form? Because we have our slope and our intercept. So we can go on to step 3, write the equation by plugging in m and b. Can anybody help me on what that would be?
That would be.
Kelly, go ahead.
Y equals 3/4 x plus 2.
Very good. Y equals 3/4 x plus 2. The 3/4 goes in for the m, the 2 goes in for the b. Boom, we're done.
Yay. Let's go home.
Was that as bad as it might have looked?
It looks bad.
Was that as bad as it looked though? No. Okay, what are you shaking your head no, and I agree with her. Okay? So, now let's repeat this process on the second one. Okay? What's the slope of this line? It's negative. We know it's going downhill. Okay? Reese, you want to help me with this?
Sure.
How much is it rising or falling?
1.
And are you going to call it a positive one or a negative one?
Positive for rise. Oh, we're going that way. Okay, down.
Okay? So if we're going to this point to this point, we're going negative one. If you want to go here to here, we go positive, right? Okay? So from here to here, what would it be?
Positive.
And so negative 1 over positive 1 is really just what number? Negative 1, okay? Laura, can you help me find the b here? Very good, it is 4, okay? That's where it's crossing the y-axis. We're not talking about where it's crossing the x-axis, which also happens to be 4. Okay? So now, do we have enough information to put it in a slope-intercept form?
Yes.
Yeah, we have our slope and our intercept given the name, slope-intercept form. So once again, we're real creative with our names, okay? Chris, help me plug this in.
Y equals -1 x.
Very good. And do we even have to have that 1 there, or can we just call it negative x plus 4 from 1? Yeah, we can call it just negative x plus 4 from 1. And Chris did a great job there. Thank you, Chris. Stop on the back, okay? Last one here. This last one here, okay? And we're done with notes for the day. Okay? Slope, we know it's going to be positive, okay? Anybody tell me what the rise over run is here? Okay? It's rising what?
4.
It's rising 4. And it's running how many? 3. So it's 4 over 3, okay? Now here, if we look for the b, it's not perfect, is it? Okay? It's like negative like 4 point something. Now we can't just guess, okay? On the first two, it went in. Well, hey, look, let's look at step 2 again. Identify the y or b of the line. What's it say right below that? If it's not a whole number, is this a whole number? No, so it's not a whole number. Then choose another point and use point slope form. So it's not a whole number, so we have to use point slope form, okay? We don't have the y-intercept, but we do have points, okay? So do we have 2 points that were given? Okay, so we don't know the b, but we can find a point, okay? So who can tell me one of these 2 points? And which one would you rather use? Okay, so we could use 4 comma what? Try again. Nope. 4 to the right, 1 up. Okay, what would be the other point we could use?
2.
Okay, nope. How far right do we go? How far right do we go, Whitney? 1. Okay, and how far down do we go? 3. So 1 comma negative 3. So we can use either of those 2 points. Okay, we can use 4 comma 1. They're both positive. Okay, we can also use 1 comma negative 3. Doesn't really matter. No, Bailey, which one would you rather choose? Yeah, we're going to try 1 negative 3. Y minus negative 3, so y plus 3 is equal to 4/3 x minus 1. Agree or disagree with that setup? See some head nods. Okay. So we distribute. Because we want this in slope-intercept form. Unless it says to leave it in point slope, I want slope-intercept form, okay? I'm going to repeat that again to make sure everyone hears, okay? Unless it says specifically point slope, I want it to be put in slope-intercept, okay? 4/3 x, and what's 4/3 times negative 1? Negative 4/3. Okay. So now, how do we get this y by itself? Subtract 3. And what are we going to have to do with the 3 and the negative 4/3? Get common denominators. What's going to be our common denominator here? 3. Okay. So this negative 3 is really become negative what over 3? Try again. Or 3 over 1. So it becomes negative what?
1 over 3.
Okay. So if this becomes negative 3
9.
over 1, then we multiply the
9.
bottom by 3, we multiply the top by 3, and we do get negative 9. Very good. Okay. So now we combine like terms. Y is equal to 4/3 x. What's negative 4/3 minus 9/3? Still negative.
13.
13. 4 plus 9 is 13. Same sign, add and keep the sign. Over what denominator? 3. So y is equal to 4/3 x minus 13/3. So this y-intercept is actually negative 13 over 3, which is negative 4 and 1/3. Would we have been able to really guess that it was negative 4 1/3? No. Okay. So once again, those first two, if you're given the slope and intercept, ooh, we're cooking, okay? If you're given the slope but you don't know the intercept, you can't quite tell, you can't just guess and call it good. Okay? You have to go through and use point slope. We know how to use point slope. Questions on that? Okay. Now, hey, we have 2 worksheets, but I really just need to combine them into one, and I'm going to do that in the future. But what we're going to do is we're going to do like half of each. So it's basically like we really have one worksheet. We're just going to do half of each, okay? I'm going to make it very straightforward on how we're doing half of each, okay? Yep.
Did you forget about me? You have one back here. Lauren. You didn't pass that away.
Now I know one says worksheet 1, one says worksheet 2. Okay, that's just because the order of the progression of notes. Okay, in the progression of notes, the worksheet 1 would come before worksheet 2, but it's really all in this section. Okay, it's really all in the section of notes that we did. Okay. So even though they're on 2 different worksheets, I really just need to make them one worksheet in the future because on both worksheets, okay, on both worksheets, okay, I want you to do odds only. Okay, on both worksheets, I want you to do odds only, okay? Now after we do this work, these 2 worksheets, okay, we're actually going to check and discuss them as one big worksheet. Okay? We're going to check and discuss them as one big worksheet, okay? So instead of having 20 problems on each, you have 20 problems total, okay? And some of these problems, like on those first 2 on the yellow ones, are just as simple as saying, as identifying slope and point, okay? Now I know we don't have a ton of time here, but you do have 3 minutes. If you wanted to, you could get a head start and knock out probably anywhere from 1 to 5 or 6 of the problems in the yellow worksheet. Okay? Make sure you read your instructions carefully on what I'm asking. Any questions?